governance of data. So the principles essentially remain the same. The fact is, with big data, you cannot ignore the governance problem. The size does matter, and at the same time, not every data element is important. For example, in big data, if, yes, storage is cheap, but you shouldn't be storing the data forever. You should look at, data decay, and essentially after you've tracked the value out of the data set, you've summarized it, you should you don't need to keep the call data records forever in telco space. Once you've derived the patterns and trends, summarize it and keep it, and then that's part of your governance policies. And so your data governance program has to evolve in the era of big data.
Okay.
One last question. I have any of the panelists, which has more market potential, collaborative and analytics in text or in numbers, and why?
I think it has to be both, because quantitative data gives you part of the equation, qualitative data gives you another part of the information, and if you combine both of them, that is amazing, right?
Because quick. All right.
A quick question. Can we talk a little bit about business models? Are we seeing any new business models? Are the companies making money through licensing fees or professional services? Or are there any new models involved?
Excellent question. So, who wants to take that?
So we at Teradata Aster, we do the traditional licensing model. We provide software and we make money on it. We're doing well. I think other companies do through professional services and customer services. Customer support for Hadoop is very popular these days. There are many different companies that do that, that provide that. Although I have not heard of people making a lot of money from providing customer services, customer support on Hadoop.
There are value-added services on top of big data that will generate professional services revenue. Implementing those, because you've got to keep your eye on the prize, which is what is the ultimate business objective that you are trying to solve here. With the vast amount of data, you are supposed to create value from that. And typically, professional services always generates at least 4 to 5 times their value or revenue more than the license sales. Any software firm which does professional services as well as software will tell you that. And we, at least I represent the professional services part of IBM services, and what we specialize in is working with any kind of technology, whether it is Hadoop, open source, or any other variant of big data. But I is always focused on what are the use cases which will generate the maximum value for our client. And we offer accelerators, services, and applications, industry-based applications on top of it.
Let me add one comment on that. If you look at, again, from the telco perspective, because I work at Ericsson, so I have some knowledge of that. Basically, there's a ton of data that's really not being monetized today. It's really not being monetized. So the service providers are certainly looking at ways to take advantage of the data they have in the networks and do it in a way which is sort of legal and so on, right? They can't, they have to be very careful with the privacy aspects, but they're certainly looking at ways they can take that data and monetize it. And if you think about exchanges, perhaps, of analytics exchanges from, today credit bureaus, for example, or some form of third party that is providing information about credit history. Well, you can think about analytics exchanges as well. So those are the kinds of things that will probably come up in the future. I think we have to close now. Dan has been staring at me and glaring at me. So let's give this panel a thanks to all of you for coming. Hopefully we'll have more big data related events in the future. Next slide.